Hello, everyone. Welcome to today's episode, today's webinar on ControlUp Remote DX 9.0. Let's wait for a couple of more minutes to other participants to join, and let's start in next 2 minutes. Thank you. Let's allow 3 more minutes for other participants to join, and let's start exactly after 3 minutes at 11:05. Okay. I think without wasting much time, let's start our webinar. First of all, welcome you all to this webinar on ControlUp Real-Time DX 9.0. So it is the platform, a monitoring and remediation platform for your VDI and DaaS workload. This is today's agenda. So, like, quick introduction about the panelist, then about XenTegra, what XenTegra is doing. Then there'll be a quick introduction about ControlUp Real-Time DX, and there'll be a presentation from Andrew. So, I'm Indrajeet Ghorpade, your host for today, Director Solution Engineering for XenTegra India, and I have with me Andrew Moore, Sales Engineer with ControlUp. Hey, hi Andrew. Welcome to today's webinar.
Thanks, Indrajeet. Thanks for organizing and hosting this event. And yeah, happy to be speaking about all things ControlUp today.
Thanks, Andrew. So I'll quickly go ahead and introduce about XenTegra. So who is XenTegra? XenTegra is a global system integrator, or you can say an international solution provider and advisor. We are hyper focused on end user computing and VDI technologies, VDI and cloud computing technologies. So we work closely with our customers and help customers to achieve their like use case or their solve their problem statement related to their end user computing or any VDI or virtualization need. So we are like value added reseller globally. So we are like having couple of entities across the globe, right? XenTegra Canada is our nearshore entity. Uh, our parent organization is XenTegra Inc., which is like headquartered in Charlotte, North Carolina, and nearshore entity is in Canada. Then like we have our offshore entity in India. Then like we are even covering federal government federal customers for like US government. So we have a separate entity for that, XenTegra GOV. Then XenTegra One is organization which is like for like SMB customers, where we closely work with the customers, help them like finding out right solutions as per their need. And even we are providing a couple of services like as a service, like patch management as a service, monitoring as a service, or network monitoring as a service, endpoint as a service, desktop as a service. So like we are providing a couple of services under this entity. Then like XenTegra MSP is our managed services entity, which is kind of a like 24 cross 7 managed services organization, under which we are providing managed services for end user computing, VDI, virtualization, as well as network and security solutions. These are kind of like OEMs with whom we are tied up very closely, and like working with them and like provide like or showcase their solutions to our customers as and when like and as per the customers needs. So we are tied up with ControlUp, Citrix, VMware, Nutanix, Microsoft, IGIL, even on the service management and IT operation management space, ServiceNow, and like overall we are doing taking care of all the modules for ServiceNow. Like we are helping customers to achieve their overall goal. The Salesforce, even Salesforce, we are helping customers to get onboarded on Salesforce. So XenTegra, like this is our like CEO Andy Whiteside. The overall the organization, like XenTegra, was born with the primary motive like of customer and enablement and a true partnership with our vendors. So the OEMs or like the partners which I mentioned, these are like couple of focused partners, but other than that, we are tied up with almost like 100 plus OEMs and like end user computing, VDI, virtualization, and network security space. This is basically kind of our USP, right? The value-added services which we are providing to our customers. We are providing complementary assessment to all the technologies which I highlighted, right? End-user computing, VDI, network security solutions, monitoring solutions. So we provide complementary assessment without any cost to our customers so that they can understand the solution, evaluate it well, and then they can use it as per their project requirement or as per their use case. Then, like the way we are there in this webinar right now, we are providing educational services, which is like we are hosting at least like globally, we are hosting like 5 to 6 virtual events every month, and like even physical events, like at least 3 to 4 events like every month. Even we are arranging like conferences, right? Even we are providing like arranging conferences for our customers, like who helped us or work closely with us. Like the last year we like we actually provided a like holiday to one of our esteemed customers for Huawei. Before that, we were actually executed one campaign on where we actually gifted a couple of uh, like uh, like basically Ford Bronco to our customers. So this is kind of right. This is basically we are uh, creating that awareness, providing educations, working very closely with our customers. We are having hands-on workshops on like end user computing, VDI, networking solutions. The solution which you want, and we can provide you that look and feel by a workshop. We are even conducting podcasts like for a couple of OEMs, right? Regular podcasts, like on the upgrades, what is new in the technology, what this technology does, what are the improvements, what are the initiatives by the vendor. And again, like all the conferences, global conferences, like if you talk about Nutanix, ServiceNow, VMware, IGIL, then like ControlUp, all these conferences, even we are helping our customers to by providing discounted passes to attend these conferences, which are happening across the globe. So I think this is it from my side, and like this is all about XenTegra and like our the partnerships with our vendors. With this, I will hand it over to Andrew. Over to you, Andrew.
Thanks, Indrajeet. I'll just share my screen. Let me know where you can see that.
Yeah, I can able to see you.
Okay. Yeah, thank you, Indrajeet, for that introduction there. And today we'll be discussing what's new in VDI and DaaS version 9. Today's agenda, I guess, I don't know who's attending or who's watching this, so it's probably important to do an overview of the platform as a first step. Then look at the changes that we've made in the V9 architecture, review the changes that we've made in version 9, and then we can look at a live demo, to see the platform and the changes that we've made and those new features in version 9. And then, yeah, we can open it up for question and answers at the end. So in terms of the platform, just to make you aware, ControlUp, does many different things. So I think it's very well known for VDI and DaaS, and that's the space that we're very good at and very strong at. But over time we've started adding more value into other areas. So ControlUp also does monitoring for physical endpoints. It's able to monitor your application level information, your unified communications like Teams and Zoom. And we also have a new module for the employee. So focused on not just around, how you're performing at a VDI level or how you're performing at a device level in terms of device scoring, but looking at it from how's the employee feeling today? And that's what we're going to do is we're going to take all the information that we know about VDI, all the information that we know about physical endpoints, wrap that up into an employee score. And then lastly, we have endpoint security module. So this is looking at it from a risk perspective, showing you the devices that are the most at risk, the ones that haven't been patched, and then giving you the ability, so you have that visibility, and then giving you the ability to go out and take an action on that device. So you can actually resolve those problems and see those problems get resolved over time. Okay, so in terms of the DEX platform and changes in version 9. So what I want to discuss today is one of the major architectural changes is the VDI and DaaS communication. So we can see previously the agent always communicated on TCP port 40705, and that was using a WCF protocol. But the drawback for this was it was bidirectional. So you needed to open a port both ways. Now, for some customers, it was fine, maybe not great. But then we had other customers that, may have been operating in an MSP mode or just a more lockdown environment. and it made this more challenging. So what we've introduced is a new communication method for the agent using TCP 443, and it's outbound only. So this will open up more possibilities with the agent. The most obvious one that I can think of is, you're putting this DaaS monitor in a cloud location, and you can have the agents connecting in from anywhere, right? Whether that's in an on-premise location, in different clouds, whatever it might be. It's going to open up much more flexibility for this arrangement here. So big change in architecture, and I think a really positive change as well. Also, the agent in this version is not domain dependent. So, previously the agent, machine would need to be in a domain. Now that agent no longer needs to be in a domain. So again, it opens up more possibilities of where the agent can be installed. For example, it might be a Windows 365 machine, that is not joined to a traditional AD domain. So yeah, that offers that flexibility as well. So we talked about the new architecture. We talked a little bit about the domain requirement, but there are more things that we're doing in the domain side as customers are moving away from having an Active Directory domain in their environment, and maybe moving to more cloud native domains for management. So also what we've introduced is the monitor machine. It no longer needs to be in a domain either. So we have agent and we have monitors that no longer require a domain. There is only one factor that still has a domain requirement, and that is the ControlUp console. And good news is that console requirement will be going away in the next release. So there'll be no domain dependency at all for ControlUp VDI and DaaS moving forward, which is really great. Another thing that we've introduced is the automation module. So what this is the ability to install a monitor in an environment automatically. And this is important because, if you're an MSP and you're installing it for customers, you want an automated method to do that. But also some customers may have a security protocol which dictates that, a Windows machine in their environment needs to be destroyed, rebuilt, every 3 months or every 6 months, whatever it might be. So that could be limiting factor for those admins to go through, reinstall, the monitor in those environments all the time. So now we can automate that, which is great. And I've got a slide on that a little bit later just to show you, what that looks like from a module perspective and how you achieve that. Also new in version 9 is the unified communication data for VDI. So previously we spoke about the ability to monitor Teams and Zoom. That happens in our physical endpoint product, but we've extended that into VDI. So now with a plugin on the end user's machine called the Remote DX plugin, we're able to get information about the Teams and Zoom calls, even if they are within a Citrix session, as an example. So that's another piece of information that's new in version 9. And then what we're going to do in the demo period, which is going to be next, is looking at some of the new features like the monitor metrics, new data pipeline, remote control functionality, folder synchronization, and the new reporting API. And by the way, just down the bottom here, you can see our link to the release notes. So if you wanted to read any information about any of these or all of our products, you can find the information in the release notes section. So this is the last slide that I have before we move into the demo. And this is focused on that automation module. I can see a raised hand there from Kunal. Indrajeet, do you want to take that question? Is there a question in the chat?
Yeah, no, there is no question in the chat, but I can enable mic for Kunal.
Okay.
Hey, hi Kunal, please go ahead.
Yeah, nothing, Indrajeet. I just wanted to know that yeah, that is good. You guys are delivering, and that is the new thing which I'm getting, and that is great to know. And I will ask any of the question when I will require. Okay,
Okay.
so please continue.
Sure.
Thank you.
Yep.
Yeah,
Thank
thanks, Kunal. Yeah, so in terms of the automation module, the way that it works is we need an API key. So this is unique to your user. So using our new web UI, you'll find this new API key management feature. You create an API for your user. So you need to be an admin in here. And that'll create your token, right? And then we install the module for PowerShell. So this is the ControlUp automation DLL. We import it, and then we'll be able to issue the commandlets, right? So install CU monitor is one of these commandlets, and the only thing that's required is basically passing in this token, so this API key. And then what it will do is you can specify a zip file. So if you've downloaded ControlUp from our website, you can specify the location of that zip file. However, if you don't have that location, what it's going to do is it's going to connect into our cloud and just pull the latest version down automatically, and then synchronize. So your token is going to authenticate you, it's going to connect you into the right environment, and install the monitor for that environment. So yeah, this is new. I think this is a welcome feature for many customers that are wanting to automate their environments. So I'm going to stop here. And I'm going to share my screen into my lab environment. So can it, hopefully you can see that clearly.
Yep. We can able to see your screen.
Okay, so this is my demo lab environment, and this is we can see all the different modules on the side loaded. So in the overview screen, I mentioned a number of different services. So you can see here we have the employee module, the devices module for endpoint monitoring, unified communications, user sentiment, so being able to survey your users to understand what their sentiment is like with IT, their apps and devices. The VDI and DaaS module, which is the one we're going to focus our time on today, and also the reporting module for VDI and DaaS. There's synthetic monitoring capabilities as well, so being able to probe our environment, connect into our VDI applications, making sure they're running on a defined schedule, but also test our web apps and any internal services that we may want to test on a defined basis. And then lastly, the Secure DX module, which is around risk management, vulnerability management, and remediating those risks. So the VDI DaaS, just an overview here. This is our new DEX web UI. So I don't know whether you're more familiar with the previous UI, which was Solve, or if you've only just used the Windows configuration console, which is our .NET based console. But essentially, we're bringing all the features we can into this UI. So think of if you used Insights before to get your reporting, Insights is no longer available, and everything is rolled up now into this reporting section in this single pane of glass. So this is a default dashboard. It's customizable. It's looking at my entire EUC environment at the moment. So in this lab environment, I have Nutanix hypervisors, I have VMware hypervisors, I have Hyper-V, I have XenTegra, all integrated. So I can see how those hosts are performing. And also the virtual machines running underneath it with a special flavor for VDI, right? Being able to see those very important VDI metrics. So ControlUp gets data every 3 seconds. So we're getting true real-time data. So any of these metrics that you're seeing here is real-time. And we can click into any part of this dashboard to see more important information. You can see here, the session stress level is sitting at 2% critical. Now, if I want to see more information about this, I can click in and drill down. And it's going to take me into this more detailed view, weighted into my sessions view. So we're looking at just at sessions now, and weighting it on stress level automatically for me. So now I can see what is making up the stress level contribution for this particular user session. So just by hovering my mouse over, I know that latency is high, but I also know that IO on this particular session is high, right? So it was very quick to identify, which sessions were performing the worst, and then what is the contribution for those sessions being poor. And furthermore, if we click into one of these things, so let's click on the IO as an example, it's going to weight all of the metrics for me by disk related. So now I can see these are my disk related metrics for this session, for this user. They're very high. We've automatically marked those as red. And furthermore, we can go in deeper and say, well, I want to look at just the processes for this session. So now we're seeing just the processes for this session, and it's remembered my context that I'm interested in disk-related metrics, and it's brought those front and center. So we can see that this process is responsible for causing the high IO on this device. With ControlUp, we can also take an inbuilt action, right? So we can go ahead and kill the process. But because we have an action library, you could create your own PowerShell scripts to perform other functions. So this is an idea of, I want to create a process dump first, get that off to the vendor, and then I want to come in and resolve the problem for now, right? I want to kill the process so the IO returns to normal. So that's one example of how I identified a problem in a session, right down to the process level, and exactly what it was doing within the environment. And also what's important to know is we have the action library now built in to this web UI. So all of our scripts that we share with our customers are here, and you can search for any script that you might be interested in using, and then basically adding it into your environment, or writing your own script and having it available via this right-click interface here to be able to take an action. So there's many things that we can do with ControlUp. We can log off sessions. We can refresh group policy. We can restart machines. We can get log files. Right? So there's one that if it's an FSLogix environment, it will just pull the log file for that session. So I can just use the FS log parser for a particular session. It's going to pull the log, and it's going to show me on this screen the contents of that log so that I can quickly analyze what's causing problems with the profile. One of the other nice things about this view here is I can now understand the relationship between this user session and where they're connected to, because I've integrated my hypervisor. So this is my virtual machine. So the user was connected to this virtual machine. So I can now see the virtual machine statistics. I can then go on to say it was connected to this ESXi host. I can see this host related metrics, and we can see the data store is really high because that process is chewing the data store as well. I can look at the data store that host is connected to. So this is the data store that process is is interacting with. And yeah, I can see cluster and data center level information as well. So it's nice to get that dependency information to correlate the data across the problem. One other thing I want to show you is the Remote DX plugin, right? So we all have challenges with users working from home, and sometimes they'll say, Citrix is slow, or Horizon is slow, or Azure Virtual Desktop is slow. And how do you troubleshoot that? Because yes, ControlUp gives you infrastructure-related information out of the box, so we can tell what's happening with our infrastructure. But what if it's outside of the infrastructure? How do we prove that the problem is actually with their side? And that's where the Remote DX plugin comes into play. And I'll just see if I've got a device connected at the moment into Remote DX. Yes, I do. So with Remote DX, this plugin gets installed on the device. We support Citrix, Azure Virtual Desktop, and Horizon. Is we're getting this extra level of information where we can see, most importantly, probably the Wi-Fi signal strength. So if a user is, working downstairs, but their access point is upstairs, or vice versa, or they're out in the garden, working from home, or maybe they're in an office, but it's a smaller office, and maybe there's a lot of users using Wi-Fi at that stage, and it's overwhelming the Wi-Fi. We're going to be able to pick that information up by looking at the signal strength or the latency to their router, right? So this is all color-coded. We can see it's all green, but if this signal strength was below 80, or this latency was above a particular threshold, the colors here would look different. And we also pick up some other related information around CPU, packet loss, operating system, things like that, to help us make an informed decision when we say Citrix is slow, as the example. Well, is it your infrastructure side that's slow, or is it actually the user's device Wi-Fi connection network? All right, so now we're able to sort of tie those two things together to get a clear answer, and it's very quick, right, to get that answer. And this is available not just in real time that I'm showing you now, but also historically. This not everything can be troubleshooted in real time, so we're going to save this level of data into our historical reports as well. So a new addition into version 9 is the ability to monitor your monitors. So we talked about ControlUp monitors. This is responsible for the agents talk to the monitor and upload all the metrics into the monitor. And now we're able to see from this view, this web UI, information about these monitors. So we can see the health of the monitor. We can see the services running. We can see the state. We can see this one is degraded and this one is healthy. And then because we can see these bits of information, we can take actions on the information that we get. So as you know, ControlUp has automated actions. So if we detect that this service is not running, then we can send an action to make sure that this service is running at all times, so that it will start that service automatically. If the health is degraded, we can alert on that being degraded. And we can also see information about all of the agents that are connected to the monitor at one point in time. It's probably important to point out that these automations are not just for the monitors, they're for anything. So any metric that we can see against virtual machines or sessions or hosts or FSLogix disks, we can alert on those things. So I think it was in 8.8, we released FSLogix monitoring capability. But any of these metrics, if they're not where you think they should be, you can alert on them, or you could take an automated action to try and correct problems as well. So one of the classic examples for FSLogix is the free space. you might want to alert on this. For a virtual machine, it could be as simple as CPU, memory, or disk. Maybe you want to be alerted to that, or if the disk is low, automatically clean the space on that disk. We have an action in our library for that. So we can start building out these automations, and these can happen automatically, so that we're not generating unnecessary help desk tickets. One of the other new features is reporting. So we brought everything we had in Insights into this web UI, and this new data pipeline will get our reports into this interface in a much more quick fashion. So I think we're looking at 5 minutes to start seeing information come into here historically. So we gave the example before of looking at a user session, and if I filter by a user, we can see that this session is still active, but we can still see historically that information. So we can see that they've been connected for a number of days. This is the CPU that's happened on this session. This is the memory consumption, the I/O, the protocol bandwidth, and also we can see information about the remote DX plugin, right? The signal strength over time, the latency over time, packet loss as well. So this is all very, very helpful information to have historically. In V9, we introduced some new reporting capabilities. So within our session activity report, we now have the ability to also track what the user was doing in the session at the time. So whether it would be, the session being active or disconnected, if they ran a particular application, let's say it was Chrome, we're able to track, what that application was. So what it was the web application that they used, if there was the URL. So that's new in version 9. So this would be, if this is a web app, you would see Chrome here, and then you'd see the active URL being present. Remote control is new in version 9. So I know a lot of customers that are paying for different tools to do remote control. But with ControlUp, we offer that out of the box. So a user can, your help desk or level 2, level 3 can use ControlUp to remote control a session by finding the particular session that's, might be having a problem, and then coming in and selecting remote control. And this is going to initiate a session between the browser and that agent but it's going to be brokered by our service. So there's no ports that require to be open to the internet for this to function. It'll just be outbound from that agent and tunneling through that connection there. So this is, nice and easy to set up, and it gives you very good troubleshooting capabilities beyond what the capabilities are with ControlUp at the moment. I'm going to stop my sharing there, and I will go into the legacy console.
And before moving to the legacy console, there are a couple of questions in the chat box, if you can answer those. The one is from Babita. Is this automation feature available for all license versions?
Talking about the automated actions, not the monitor automation, I'm assuming.
Maybe I can do one thing. I can enable mic for Babita, and she can ask a question.
Sure.
Yeah, Babita, please go ahead. Babita, you can ask your question.
Hi, can you hear me now?
Can hear you
Yeah,
now. Yep.
we can able to hear.
Okay. Hi, Andrew. Thanks for giving an opportunity to ask the questions, but I just wanted to understand the automated feature that you have described about the scripts, the inbuilt scripts or the customized scripts that we are using. So, is it this feature available for all our license versions, or is it only for Ultimate or Enterprise? That's what I wanted to know.
Yeah, good question. So it is. We've just changed our SKU. So it used to be available in the Platinum version, not the Ultimate version. But I'd have to double check now that our SKUs have changed where that automation feature is. I believe it is available in the Essentials version. So we've only got Essentials and Advanced SKU. And I believe automation is available in the Essentials SKU.
Cool. Thank you.
Thanks, Babita. There is one more question around like the process dump which you mentioned about. Kunal wants to know a little more in details about the process dump.
Right. Yeah, so that's just a script that would call proc dump or whatever utility from Microsoft's, like the sysinternals utilities. It would just call that and dump that process. But it would do it automatically for you because it's context aware. You've right-clicked on a process, it knows the name of that process. So it feeds in those variables into the script to automatically capture that information for you.
So Kunal, just to add on which Andrew mentioned, it is for troubleshooting for that specific like issue with that process, right? So you can capture the information specific to that process at that moment, and that dump you can either like you could troubleshoot it with the respective vendor, right, or the application vendor for which that process is. I hope it's clear to you.
Okay, perfect. So it looks like you understood that.
Yep.
So one of the other new features with version 9 is the ability to synchronize your environment. So previously, customers would have to create a PowerShell script to synchronize your objects in here. So you can see when you add an EUC environment, in this case, we have a Horizon environment and 2 Citrix environments. What you would need to do is create a script that would synchronize these so that the objects in these folder levels here would be up to date. So because if you deleted a machine in here, it may not be deleted here. So there was always a little bit of a discrepancy here. So we did have synchronization scripts that customers needed to modify and then set up scheduled task triggers to run on a schedule. So in version 9, we've gotten rid of that requirement, and we've made it really easy to set up synchronization. So effectively, all you need to do is check this box, enable built-in synchronization. There's a few options like, how often does the synchronization occur? So this is occurring every hour in this environment. And then it's automatically removing machines once they've been missing from this configuration for over 24 hours. And then a very simple, which folders levels do you want to apply the synchronization to? So in this case, I focused on that Citrix environment, and here are my delivery groups, and this is what I'm synchronizing. And it will then automatically create this folder structure in here for me around my EUC environment. You can see, Acme, and then we have, these delivery groups that have been automatically created by just checking that box. So it's taken, a step that was a little bit convoluted and may have taken a couple of hours to set up, to literally taking a number of minutes to execute in your environment to keep everything in sync. So it's a good feature. I think lastly, what I wanted to show you was the changes for the reporting API. So in version 9, so previously, if customers wanted to get data out of our historical database, it was very difficult. There was no API to achieve it. We did have PowerShell commands that you could run on your monitors to get some of that real-time data out of those monitors, and you could roll those up into visualization tools. But now with version 9 and the DX interface, we've enabled you to be able to pull data out of reporting via API. So this is available now, as long as you've moved to the new streaming reports. So as long as you're on version 9 and you've used DX, they will move you to being able to use streaming, and that means you can use this API interface. And just very briefly, we have it all documented here, all the different ones that we can execute. So you can see here it's giving you this is like a Swagger example where we can get information about an application. In this case, it's a single application, and the example here is Chrome. If you want a particular version, you can put in a version number, and then the start and the end date of the information that you're trying to understand, and you can execute it here. So you can build your own API requests. These are just example of how you would do it, and then once you've executed it, it's giving me back the information about my request here about this Chrome application, how many unique users and total instances of Chrome was executed against each device. So this is available now, and customers that like being able to pull data from the API, will like this, because sometimes customers want reports that we don't have out of the box. So this gives you the flexibility of being able to tailor reporting to your needs, and put it into a visualization tool like Power BI as an example to generate those types of reports. So in terms of version, what was new in version 9 and the overview there, that's all I had, but I'm happy to open up for Q&A and show anything else that people might want to see.
In case of any questions, you can type it in the Q&A box or chat, or you can just raise your hand and I'll enable you to speak.
Any particular use cases that you're struggling with, the ControlUp, you're interested, maybe it can ControlUp help with those use cases? Yeah, ask away and we can see whether we can do it live.
Okay, there is a question from Kunal. Is it a web-based or on-premise solution?
Yeah, good question. So it is both. We offer a cloud-based solution. So the one that I'm demoing is the cloud-based solution, but we do also have an on-premise based version, which is best paired with a VMware based hypervisor environment, because we have sort of pre-built templates that import straight into the VMware hypervisor to speed up deployment.
As we are on a live demo environment, if in case anyone is even want to have some understanding about like a specific use case, whether it is possible on ControlUp, please ask, and like we are happy to showcase that. I think Kunal raised his hand. Uh, yeah,
So
Kunal.
Indrajeet, I just want to ask that in on-premise, I believe there are some more features as expected to the cloud version. I believe, I think so.
I think it's different, where we don't have reporting capabilities built into the UI, this web UI. The web UI in on-premise looks different, a little bit different. But what you would expect is there'd be more features in the cloud version, because that's the evergreen model, and that's the version that gets the most attention. That's the version that most customers are using. So I definitely recommend the cloud model if possible. And if it's just not possible, then yes, you can default to the on-cloud version, on-prem version.
Okay, so I just want to ask one more thing that, as you showcased earlier, that I saw that there one cloud space over there means for the I believe desktop as a service, right? Am I correct?
So what part are you talking about there?
Means the storage kind of things over there. So for cloud based, it is means it is storage based, something like that. Uh, I just want to know.
So do you
Yeah.
mean to say like on the hosting front you're talking about, Kunal? Like how the
Yeah, yeah.
hosting will
For
happen, like whether there'll be a storage cost or those things you're talking about?
yes, yes, yes.
It's a subscription cost only, based
Yeah,
on a
yeah.
percent or concurrent user or named user model, and that will take care of all the storage costs that that it's associated with the historical data, or the troubleshooting you can do, all the features you can see, is all taken care of by that subscription cost.
Okay.
And we store this data in the reporting section for up to 1 year. So I think there's two SKUs. There's an essentials and advanced. The essentials stores data for 1 month, and the advanced SKU stores data for up to 1 year. So all of the sessions we see here, we store them up for 1 year. So you can see any session that was ever launched for up to 1 year with this platform.
So according to you, as you said that we can retrieve data, means report, uh, means within 1 hour. After 1 hour, it will be removed, right? We will not be able to retrieve that.
No, it's stored here for 1 year. If
Yeah,
you're on
for
the
1 year. Yeah,
yeah,
beyond 1 year, we will not be able to retrieve that, right?
correct. But you can use the API to pull data out and store it that way for a longer period of time.
Okay, so
If
yeah, please go ahead.
Yeah, so basically, Kunal, right, like data more than 1 year, if you want to store it somewhere else, you can integrate the API and you can save those particular reports like in your the platform wherever you want to save.
Okay. Okay, so you mean offline data storage? We can save it for future purpose.
Yeah.
Any other questions there?
Any questions, anyone? I think we are exactly on time. maybe like we actually completed the sessions 5 minutes early, so like we have still time for 5 more minutes. So in case anyone is having any questions, any doubts, please feel free to ask, and we are happy to answer. Okay, if there are no questions, then I think let's conclude. But like if anyone is having questions, please feel free to ask. Otherwise, so let's conclude in next 2 minutes. Andy, do you want to like at the as a like concluding statement or anything you want to mention about the platform, like about ControlUp Remote DX as well as Real-Time DX platform?
Yeah, I think look, if there's any questions about the platform itself, please reach out to Indrajeet. We're happy to do further sessions like with you. We can dive a little bit deeper into use cases and how it may apply to your environment more than just VDI and DaaS, maybe physical endpoints. You might want to see how that can work as well. This session was focused on VDI only, but yes, as I said, we have a whole range of offerings. So yeah, please reach out, and we'd be happy to talk to you about the platform in general.
Yeah. So yeah, even I want to add on like what Andrew mentioned. Like we are closely working with ControlUp team across the globe in all the regions, be it US or Europe or like APAC as a region. So we are very closely working with them. So in case of any queries, so as Andrew mentioned, there are a couple of other modules as well. Today we focused on VDI and DaaS, but like there is a physical endpoint monitoring module as well, remote HDX. So if you have any specific requirements, anything, right, we're happy to help you out. You can reach out to me anytime. We are available or like on email, like or social, like any like LinkedIn or from wherever you want to reach out to us. Like I'll even mention my contact number in the chat box. If you want to reach out to me, please feel free to call and let's take your query further. I'm typing my contact number. Yeah. So if there are no further questions, I would like to thank Andrew. Like, thanks for this session, like covering the overview about the product, new features and functionalities, as well as a walkthrough demo on the latest DEX environment, like console. That is actually it is actually helpful for us and our participants to like participants for their understanding about the product and the new features. And thank you all for joining in. And we are regularly conducting these kind of webinars. So like maybe very soon you'll get like you'll be invited for such new episode or like new webinar on the products, right? Even control of improvements as well as like other products and vendors with whom we are closely working. Thank you all. Thanks for joining in. Wish you a great day ahead. Thank you.
Thanks all.